In the United Kingdom, the driving licence is the official document which authorises its holder to operate various types of motor vehicle on highways and some other roads to which the public have access. In England, Scotland and Wales they are administered by the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Agency, and in Northern Ireland by the Driver and Vehicle Agency. A driving licence is required in the UK by any person driving a vehicle on any highway or other road defined in S192 Road Traffic Act 1988, irrespective of ownership of the land over which the road passes, thus including many which allow the public to pass over private land. Similar requirements apply in Northern Ireland under the Road Traffic Order 1981. UK nationals do not normally have identity cards. A modern photo driving licence can serve many of the purposes of an identity card in non-driving contexts or age. Background. Applications for a provisional driving licence can be made from the age of 15 years and 9 months. Valid for driving a moped or light quad bike from aged 16 and a car from aged 17 or 16 for those who get, or have applied for, the higher enhanced rate of the mobility component of PIP or DLA. Until a United Kingdom driving test has been passed, a driver may hold only a provisional licence and be subject to certain conditions. The conditions attached to provisional licences of a particular category of vehicle are: L plates or D plates must be conspicuously displayed on the front and rear of the vehicle. Learner drivers of a particular category and transmission type of vehicle must be accompanied by somebody aged at least 21 who has held a full driving license for the category and transmission type for at least 3 years, except in the case of solo motorcycles and vehicles of certain categories designed solely for one person. No trailer may be towed, except when driving a tractor or where a full license gives provisional entitlement to drive a car with trailer, large goods vehicle with trailer or bus with trailer. Motorcycle riders must not carry any pillion passenger. Bus drivers must not carry any passenger except a person giving or receiving instruction. Motorways must not be used by holders of car and motorcycle provisional licenses, excluding B+E learner drivers. In Northern Ireland, learner drivers are limited to a speed of 45 miles per hour. And drivers who have passed their test within the previous year must display A plates and are also limited to a speed of 45 miles per hour until the expiry of the restricted period. A plates are similar in style to L plates, with a thick-set dark orange are displayed on a white background. After passing a driving test, the provisional licence may be surrendered within 2 years in exchange for a full UK licence for the relevant kind of vehicle. Full car licenses allow use of mopeds and motorcycles provided a CBT course is completed. There are no restrictions on newly passed drivers in England, Wales or Scotland, but if a newly qualified driver is given 6 penalty points within 2 years of passing, the licence is automatically cancelled and the driver must pass the full test again. The 6 points remains on the new licence until their designated expiry time. Motor car licenses issued in the United Kingdom distinguish between automatic and manual transmission vehicles dependent upon whether or not a driving test was passed in a vehicle with manual transmission. Whilst a manual transmission vehicle license permits the holder to drive a vehicle of either kind, an automatic transmission vehicle license is solely for vehicles with automatic transmission. The license also shows if a driver requires glasses or contact lenses to meet the legal driving requirements, if known. There is no maximum age for driving or holding a driving license, but holders must renew their licenses at age 70 and every 3 years thereafter, at which times they must self-certify their continued fitness to drive. Forklift trucks require a separate license, issued by third-party training companies rather than the DVLA-DSA, which regulate all other vehicles. Whilst the DVLA has included Welsh on driving licences issued in Wales for many years, requests for Scots Gaelic to be included on licences issued to drivers resident in Scotland have so far been rejected. History: driver registration was introduced in 1903 with the Motor Car Act. Holders of the sulphur yellow-coloured document were entitled to drive a motor car or motorcycle. The wording changed in 1930, after which holders were allowed to drive or steer a motor car or to drive a motorcycle. It was not clear why a motorcycle would not need to be steered. Shortly afterwards, the document cover changed to a dark red color. Holders were for a period entitled to drive a vehicle of any class or description. Subsequent changes saw the document list precisely those vehicle types for which holders were licensed. Competency tests were introduced in 1934 by the Motor Vehicles Regulations 1935. They were suspended in 1939 for 7 years due to the Second World War and in 1956 for 1 year due to the Suez Crisis. The only person in the United Kingdom who is not required to have a driving license in order to drive is the Queen. She also does not require number plates on any vehicles which are personally owned by herself or her closest family members. Until 1973, driving licenses were issued by local authorities, and had to be renewed every 3 years. In 1971, the decision was taken to computerize the licensing system to enable it to be linked to the police national computer, as well as extending the life of the license up to the driver's 70th birthday, and extendable at intervals thereafter, subject to the driver's fitness to drive. Until July 1998, driving licenses outside Northern Ireland did not have photographs. Anyone who holds a license issued before this date may retain their photoless license until expiry or until they change address, whichever comes sooner. The new photocard driving licenses are a 2-part document, a plastic photocard which has to be renewed every 10 years, for a fee, and a paper sheet which is valid until the holder's 70th birthday. The counterpart details the individual's driving entitlements and convictions. Endorsement codes stay on the license for 4 or 11 years depending on the offense. This counterpart was due to be phased out in January 2015. This has now been phased out as of June 8, 2015. The information currently recorded on the counterpart is accessible online via the View Driving License service. A separate service will be made available for the use of third parties. Licenses issued to residents of England, Northern Ireland and Scotland appear only in English, whilst those issued to residents of Wales appear in both English and Welsh. Each licence holder in England, Scotland and Wales has a unique driver number, which is 16 characters long. The characters are constructed in the following way: 1 €5, the first 5 characters of the surname, 6, the decade digit from the year of birth, 7 €8, the month of birth, 9 €10, the date within the month of birth, 11, the year digit from the year of birth, 12 €13, the first 2 initials of the first names, padded with a 9 if no middle name, 14, arbitrary digit euro usually 9, but decremented to differentiate drivers with the first 13 characters in common, 15 €16, 2. Computer check digits. 17 €18, appended, 2 digits representing the license issue, which increases by 1 for each license issued. Each Northern Ireland license holder has a unique driver number which is 8 characters long. The characters are not constructed in any particular pattern. Theory testing. The theoretical tests in the United Kingdom consists of 2 sections, which are different for car and motorcycle tests. Multiple choice questions are Euro 50 questions with a choice of possible answers, with 57 minutes to answer them. Some questions may have more than one correct answer. At least 43 questions should be answered correctly to pass this section. Hazard perception tests are Euro 14 video clips which feature everyday road situations. In each clip there is at least one developing hazard, but one of the clips features 2 developing hazards. 0 to 5 points are awarded depending on the time taken to notice a hazard. At least 44 points should be earned out of a possible 75 to pass. Both sections of the theory test are completed on the computer, and both must be passed in order to pass the theory test. Driving license categories. This is a list of the categories that might be found on a driving license in the United Kingdom. Notes: MAM equals maximum authorized mass, age 24 or 2 years from date of A2 test pass. Age 16 you may be issued a license if you are in receipt of the higher rate of disability living allowance. However, if the rate is withdrawn, the normal minimum age for driving a car applies. At the age of 16 you can be issued a license if you are in receipt of the higher rate of disability living allowance. However, if the rate is withdrawn, the normal minimum age for driving a car applies. At age 16 you may be issued a license if you are in receipt of the higher rate of disability living allowance. However, if the rate is withdrawn, the normal minimum age for driving a car applies. If you passed your Category B or B automatic test before January 1, 1997, your license will already show C1, C1E, D1, D1E as entitlement flowing from the Category B. Age 17 if you are a member of the Armed Services, age 17 if you are a member of the Armed Services. Age 18 if you got your driving license before September 10, 2009 and the weight of the vehicle and trailer together is under 7,500 kilograms. Age 18 under certain other circumstances, age 17 if you are a member of the Armed Services. Age 18 under certain other circumstances, age 17 if you are a member of the Armed Services. Age 18 under certain other circumstances, age 17 if you are a member of the Armed Services. Age 18 having passed a PCV test before September 10, 2008 and driving under a bus operator's license, or minibus permit, or community bus permit and under certain conditions. Age 18 under certain other circumstances. Age 20 after passing a PCV driving test and driver CPC initial qualification, age 17 if you are a member of the Armed Services. Age 18 having passed a PCV test before September 10, 2008 and driving under a bus operator's license, or minibus permit, or community bus permit and under certain conditions. Age 18 under certain other circumstances. Age 20 after passing a PCV driving test and driver CPC initial qualification, age 17 if you are a member of the Armed Services. Age 18 having passed a PCV test before September 10, 2008 and driving under a bus operator's license, or minibus permit, or community bus permit and under certain conditions. Age 18 under certain other circumstances. Age 20 after passing a PCV driving test and driver CPC initial qualification, age 17 if you are a member of the Armed Services. Age 18 having passed a PCV test before September 10, 2008 and driving under a bus operator's license, or minibus permit, or community bus permit and under certain conditions. Age 18 under certain other circumstances. Age 20 after passing a PCV driving test and driver CPC initial qualification, age 17 for small road rollers with metal or hard rollers. They must not be steam-powered, weigh more than 11.69 tons or be made for carrying loads. Age 17 if the maximum authorized mass of the tracked vehicle DUS and Euro unregistered trademark T exceed 3,500 kilograms. Points and endorsements. The UK uses cumulative point systems, broadly similar but different in detail in different countries, for offenders. Points are given for driving offences by law courts, and the licence is endorsed accordingly. A UK driving licence may be endorsed by the courts for various offences, not only for those committed whilst driving or in charge of a vehicle. If the individual committing the offence does not hold a valid driving licence, the endorsements may be put by until a licence is held. Most endorsements remain valid for 4 years. Some are recorded on the licence for 11 years because more severe penalties apply to those convicted twice within 10 years of drink or drug driving offences. 12 points on the licence within 3 years makes the driver liable to disqualification under the totting up procedure. However, this is not automatic, but must be decided by a law court. Endorsements remain on the licence for 4 years, rather than 3, to ensure that offences are not removed while still legally applicable. Production. Drivers are not legally obliged to carry a driving licence while driving, but Section 164 of the Road Traffic Act 1998 allows a police officer to require a driver to produce a driving licence within 7 days at a police station chosen by the driver. See also, European driving licence. References. External links, Official England, Scotland and Wales Driver Information Website, Official Northern Ireland Driver Licensing Website, Driving Licence Codes.